Hey y'all, Mike with Cardboard Kingdom. Welcome back to another Disney Lorcana video. I hope you and yours had an amazing weekend opening set 10. Got lots of pictures, saw lots of posts of people having some amazing openings. I know some not as amazing as others, such the game that we play whenever it comes to opening packs. Saw people pull multiple iconics out of a couple different boxes. Saw multiple people open lots of boxes and pull no iconics. So, you know, the lottery will be played, and some will win, some will lose. But I hope you all had an amazing opening weekend for set 10. There's a ton of awesome tournaments, which was really, really cool to see. And then Whispers in the Well is starting to kind of come into its own. We've got market price established for every card except for one. We've got EV. We've got a lot to look at for set 10 here today. So that is what we are going to get into, starting with the sealed side of things in terms of booster boxes. So one thing to keep in mind here, expected value off the top is sitting at about 160 right now for set 10. So what that basically says for anyone new to the channel is, should you open a box of Whispers in the Well, if you paid 120 for it, if you open enough of them on average on today's market values, your expected return would be about 160, assuming traditional pull rates. Obviously, that it takes into when you open like one box, for example, incredibly small sample size, you could definitely walk away with less than 160. You could definitely walk away with more than 160, right? This is just saying, assuming a big enough sample, $160 is about the expected value of a set 10 booster box right now. You'll see that the cheapest box on the market is about $115 when you include shipping. Obviously, if you get both, you can get your cost basis down there from RB Games, cards, and comics. But overall, sealed doing very well, and it is starting to spike back up. You can see it bottomed out at around 100. I think that did have some shipping on it, so the true price was probably a little bit more than that. But as of right now, we are spiking up to about 125 again. Tons of boxes selling, guys. 783 already. This is on pace with Fabled. Be very interested to see how does this continue to pace out. Plenty on the market, which Fabled did not have, obviously with that waived release. But 568 on the market still. You know, we're going to continue to kind of find here as we're in this first week and kind of even pre-release on TCG Player what the players are willing to pay and what the market's willing to sell for, as that equilibrium is constantly going to change. I do think, once again, that this set at some point will be below the $100 mark. How much below, I don't know. I think this is a very interesting use case in a set. This set is very different than any set we've seen in the past. When you incorporate the iconics, which Fabled had, but then you also add in the full suite of new cards in that common to legendary slot, right? Fabled is very limited in terms of new cards. And so this is the first set that really has that iconic chase with the new set of full roster of cards. Very few reprints coming in the set. So we'll have to see what happens. I do think that there will be a time frame where we see it sub 100. And there's plenty on the market, guys. You know, 568 just on TCG Player. Obviously, hopefully the LGSs are going to continue to get more. But from a sealed point, I think it's at a very good spot to open right now. If you can go to your LGS and get a box for 110, 120, and you know, maybe get a case, whatever, I think you're in a really good spot. Looks like lowest cases on TCG Player are sitting at about 475 right now. But keep in mind, guys, these won't ship until Friday, so not too far away, right? End of this week. But just keep in mind that if you do order any cases, booster boxes, or even troves, you're looking at a Friday 11/14 shipping date on the sealed side of things. So that is where we're at for sealed. Now, looking at the individual cards, the only card that we do not have a market price for thus far is the Ariel Ethereal Voice. This iconic here, there's 26 available on the market. Is that right? 26? That seems so high. I guess that is true. That's like way more than even the Mickeys. There's 5 on the market. That's weird to me. Fabled's been out for 3 times, or I mean, you can't even. Fabled's been out a lot longer, not in the large scale view, but in a short term, it's been out a hell of a lot longer than set 10, and there's already 26 listed. That's wild. I'm interested to see the pull rate data. I assume it would still be the 1 in 2,000 packs. I don't know why it would change. People just may, obviously, in my opinion, the Iconics list set were drastically less. Just the whole the cards are beautiful, right? So I don't want to say aesthetically pleasing, but when you look at the whole scene, the characters, the extended art, obviously Fabled. I don't think anyone's gonna tell me that the set 10 iconics are better than set 9. I think that's just wrong. But the Hades and the Ariel, I don't know about Ariel. The Hades is a good card used in decks, and it's kind of at that fringe point where maybe you would use it, but nevertheless, Ariel has not sold yet. We've got 860 lowest on the market, and no one is willing to pay that price. When we look at the Hades, 700 is lowest on the market, and 2 have sold at 704. Looks like even 3 have sold, actually. So we've got 725, 704, and 695. Pack fresh. Wow. Crazy. Set just came out, but here we are. So $700 for the Hades. This one is selling, and I think the reason why we're seeing this one sell and the Ariel not is because this one does have a place in the meta to a certain extent, and so I think that's why you're seeing this one sell. Once again, just the market, even on the collector side or the high-end side, coming out of booster packs being driven by the player base. This is a card that could definitely find its way into a deck, and I think you're starting to see that as to why it's selling and why the Ariel's not. I am curious what the price breakpoint is going to be for the Ariel to start to sell. The fact that there's so many on the market, I think that this thing's going to be dropping like a rock. It's basically like, these listings are going to be updating all day on who's going to undercut the market the most, where that first buyer is willing to bite. I think, at this point, it's probably, sub 800, I think is probably where we start to at least see some sales. I mean, look, it's still an iconic IP, gorgeous artwork, incredibly scarce in terms of pull rate and the amount of them that'll be out there. There's a lot going for this card. Sure, it's not Mickey. Sure, it's not Minnie. That doesn't mean it's bad, right? So I think there definitely is a price point, obviously, that this card will sell. My initial price point for the Iconics was around 500 was what I was hoping for. That just simply is not going to be the case. But yeah, so Ariel, we'll see what happens here on the price point for that Iconic. Congrats to anyone who pulled Iconics, right? Still incredibly hard to pull, and congrats to anyone who's able to do it. Our Enchanteds do all have, we'll search by Enchanted here. These Enchanteds do all have market prices. Cinderella market price at $337, but it looks like we do have one listed at $300. How many of these have sold? 15 have sold already. 26 on the market. I saw multiple of you guys pull this card. Some of you guys even pulled 2 of them, so congrats on that. Looks like Demona is coming in at number 2 at a $250 market price, but that's quite a bit off. Lowest on the market is at $180. Spooky Sight, I think this one obviously is being used in decks, but I think it's just a tremendous artwork, and I think that there is like a collectability piece to this. Sitting at $180. Goliath, $160. Can't hold it back anymore. $135. Lowest on the market. Webby, $150. Malicious Mean and Scary, $125. Had this Horseman, $115. I think that's a gorgeous artwork. But once again, these ones we know that aren't being used in the game. Black Cauldron still has not even sold. It's got $84 as the lowest listing. Has not sold. I apologize. I thought it had. So it looks like we have 2 cards still with an undetermined market price. Sword of Hercules, down sub 50. They got, these items, they just never do that good. They just have not historically done good from a secondary market perspective. Nick Wilde sitting down at 58. Baloo, we were watching Jungle Book a lot this weekend. My son's all in he goes through these kicks, right? We watch a new movie one time. It wasn't even new, just like a movie the kids haven't seen for a little bit, and then it's fresh in their mind. So every time the TV came on, can we watch Jungle Book? Can we watch Jungle Book? Shout out Baloo. Keep him ugly safe. We've got Lady Tremaine, 65. Quite a few under 100. Horn King down at 68. I think overall very healthy. Some of these are definitely going to drop. Some of them are probably going to come up. But I think we were at least at a decent spot now here where at least we have some market prices identified, and we're going to see these drop, but definitely going to be some people picking them up. But the legendaries are really where this set is shining in particularly, guys. We've got Cindy sitting at 60, selling like absolute crazy. 614 of these have sold. I mean, talk about a card. Like, I know look, there's already been talks about like banning this card, or whatever. They're not going to ban a brand new card. That's obvious. Now, are they going to ban something like Sail, or cards that maybe buff this card? That's definitely within the realm of possibility. So I would not be surprised to see a Sail ban come through here. In core constructed, Hades sitting at 35. Goliath sitting at 40, down to 10 listings. Look for the Enchanted to run on that as well. Demona, $22. Webby, $25. Rapunzel almost at 10. Had this Horseman right behind her. And then we obviously got some kind of bottom of the barrel here, legendaries in terms of Black Cauldron and Prince Charming. But by and large, we're sitting at 10 10 legendaries at kind of almost $5 plus, and then multiple around that $30 to $40 price point. And so I think this is where a ton of the value is going to come from the set, is these legendaries. They're very meta defining and they're very, very good cards. Now where this set obviously falls flat is going to be in the super rare spot. We've got Mowgli, who's at $2, and then I don't know what Mowgli, I don't know why I'm saying Mowgli. I always call him Mowgli, but super rare's not good. Not in a good spot at all. Rare's the same way. Not much popping in terms of the rares. We've got Spooky Side over $1. That's it. And so really this set's about the high end, right? It's about your Enchanteds. It's about your legendaries, and then everything else is kind of mixed in between. There are some epics, though, which I skipped over, that are doing pretty good. He hurled his Thunderbolt, very similar to Along Came Zeus, sitting at 14. Webby at 10. Sudden Scare at 7. So 3 not bad whatsoever. And then we've obviously got some that are not near as meta defining or finding their way into a deck. But by and large, the epics doing okay. And so that's where we're at for set 10. I did want to talk about the Iconics, which we discussed a little bit earlier. But this Mickey, guys, like I truth be told, as more Fabled was coming out, which we're at almost 2,300 sold now, 254 on the market. Price, sitting around what, 130 130 for a box still. As more comes out, I was expecting this product, as more waves to release. I was expecting Mickey Mouse to fall a little bit, but the demand has been consistent. For a near mint copy, it's still selling. Like we had three sell on the 2nd, we had another one sell on the 7th, all around $1,500. Right now, there's a couple light plaids for a little bit cheaper, but there's only 3 near mint copies on the market: 1,500, 1,630, and 2,000. And I think this is, this card this card means a lot to Lorcana. I'm very excited to watch where it goes, because we have not seen a card come out of a booster pack and hold its value like this for a long time, really since the Elsa. Elsa originally was selling, she got over 1,000 pretty quick, but then after the reprint, she got down, like I bought my first Elsa at 500 on TCG Player. So she was definitely down there for a while. Obviously, it's gone up quite a bit since then, came back down. It's, constantly everything's expensive in the first chapter, reprint. Everything's expensive, reprint, right? And so it's kind of been suppressed naturally time and time again due to the reprints. But this Iconic Mickey, I think it's got a very, very good chance of being the first card that hits like $2,000 and $3,000. Now, that's not to say in the short term that that's going to happen, not to get to anyone to FOMO in, but this card is holding its value incredibly well, and people are just not selling it, right? There is just not a lot on the market. Buy for sale, and I was wrong on this, right? Like, look, a lot of you guys like take victory laps in the comments whenever I get stuff wrong, which is completely fine, right? I'm putting myself out there. I'm giving you these opinions. Some are going to be right, some are going to be wrong. I'm not perfect. I've said that many times, but I did think that there was going to be better times ahead for this card. Very similar to like the Fabled box, when I was saying like, hey, this is not a $200 box. It's brand new. Give it some time, right? It's going to come back down. It did. We got down to 110. There was some shipping on that. Right now, sitting around 130. But I think Fabled as a whole is such an interesting use case for really the collector side of the hobby. I think when you look at the Enchanteds and Fabled, they are absolute hitters. I think when you look at the Iconics, obviously just truly iconic, right? Especially when you compare them against set 10. And from a sealed side of things, now I'm going to talk about this later in the week, but like, Fabled sealed is so interesting to me. As someone who's not a big sealed guy, I've got some sealed, but it's not my lane whatsoever. This one I feel like is like a screaming in the face of like long-term sealed, like, especially if the chase of the set is going to stay around 1,500 or get up to 2,000 eventually. But the thing is with this that you've got to keep in mind, we just talked about the first chapter. The first chapter is 2 years old, and they are still releasing product. You're telling me they're not going to keep the Fabled Coven? Like, there's just no way, right? And so you have to kind of balance that. Are you willing to gamble and really be around for a long time to pick up a product like this at 120? Or is there going to be reprinted time and time again and be cheaper and cheaper? Obviously, the thing about this is it was a major reprint set. And so, like, we just have to see what Ravensburger is going to do. My initial lean and recommendation is always to give it time with this, because they've kind of reprinted anything that's ever needed reprinting and sometimes things that don't. And so I would just err on the side of caution. But man, like 130 for a booster box when you put like a 5-year time horizon on it, like that just that feels cheap, right? Now, is it going to go down in the short term? Definitely possible. Is it going to be cheaper a year from now? I would be surprised, but it's definitely possible, right? I would not rule it out. But more to come on that. I do want to talk about the sealed side of things here in the future. But really, just wanted to give the Iconics a moment. Truly awesome cards. Those Mickey and Minnie, I feel like they are just going to be so collectible. And for someone like myself who really prioritizes like rarity and scarcity, real quick, there's only 12 minis on the market, 800 lowest there. But we'll end on this here for today. For someone like myself, like I really like when I think about my collection and I really prioritize rarity and scarcity. These cards that come out of packs are just inherently not that rare. Now, they can be scarce, like the Mickey, right? There's only 5 on the market for a TCG player. It is very scarce. And it's more rare than any other card in Disney Lorcana that's came out of a booster pack. But really my problem with like the Enchanteds, for example, is there's just so many of them out there. Now, in the grand scheme of things, is there that many versus how many are going to want to collect them long term? I don't think so. But when you compare it just to the overall sheer number of them, there's a lot more of them than, a card like a trophy card, for example, right? Like they're a serialized Mickey or any, DLC promo. Even some of the like set champs promos, like there's probably less Rockstar Stitches out there than some of these Enchanteds, right? Or I feel very confident about that. And so I prioritize those cards that are a little bit more rare, a little bit more scarce, because I know that as we go through these highs and lows and peaks and valleys, the cards that are just less readily available are going to be less subject to just the bottom falling out. Versus you buy, a playset of Dumbos, for example, at $400 a piece. As the meta shifts, the bottom's just going to completely fall out of that card, where now it's going to be a $230 card a month later, right? Like that's just the peaks and valleys of buying those Enchanteds that are being used in the meta. But these cards like Mickey, like there's only 5 on the market and the set just came out, but it's been out for enough now, right? Like it's truly been out. And so sure, more going to be open, more going to hit the market, but there appears to be a lot of collectors that want the card. And I think that it's got a bright future ahead of it, clearly. And I thought the better times were ahead, right? And that's where I'll admit I was wrong. I was really looking for a $700 to $800 price for the Mickey, and that just did not happen. In my hopes, I was like, hey, if this card ever gets below 500, like you just got to kind of have a snap buy at that point. Like you just got to set a market price and buy them all if they come to that. But it at the current price, 1,500, I think it's very healthy. I think it has a lot to say for Lorcana, and that's if you're collecting Lorcana right now, it's definitely. I'm having a blast, but I'm very much in the weeds. I know some of you guys aren't in the weeds and you just want to see numbers go up. And that's what I would say is there's a lot of us who collect Lorcana, and there's maybe some not as public as I am, right? And that's really why, one of the reasons why I made this channel is because there just wasn't a lot of people talking about collecting Lorcana, and Ravensburger prioritized the players first, and they're bringing people outside of the TCG world. And so sure, maybe it's not as hot as Pokemon or One Piece or whatever, but the game's new. It's a very, very fun game. People love to play it. There's tournament support going off like crazy. And that stuff is going to continue to add to the collector base, and more collectors are going to be vocal. There's going to be more content out there like mine, people who do it much better than me. It's going to continue to grow. And it's just a lot of fun to collect these cards, especially when you include the family element and everything that makes Lorcana special. Like, we're just getting started, and it's going to be a ton of fun. And I hope you all will stick around with me and enjoy it for what it is, despite maybe sometimes prices don't go as crazy. You look at these other, trading card games like Pokemon where this card went up 1,000x overnight, whatever, and whatnot. Like, I get that that's fun. It's cool to see your money, go up. But at the end of the day, there has to be a core set of players. There has to be a core set of collectors for these trading card games to exist. And I think Lorcana is that right now. It's going to continue to grow, and they're doing a fantastic job. So I hope you stick around. And if nothing else, these iconics from Set 9 are a great proof of that concept. These cards that are even coming out of booster packs hitting thousands of dollars right off the start here, in terms of, you want to go get the Mickey and Minnie, 2 cards from one of the most recent set, you're looking at spending, what, after taxes and everything, $2,500. That's a lot of money for 2 cards coming out of packs, which I think is very, very exciting for the game. So with that being said, guys, thank you very much for watching. We're going to be back to much more regular scheduled programming this week. Last week with the sick baby, not even a baby anymore. She's a year and a half now, but yeah, I mean, still baby to me, my baby. It would just added some chaos, but I appreciate everyone who reached out. Appreciate all the well wishes. And yeah, excited to get back rocking and rolling. Hope you all have an amazing week. Happy Monday. Get after it. Separate yourself. I will talk to you all later. Bye.